Konnichiwa. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank EDCON for the opportunity to talk to you. I'm going to talk about something really dear to my heart. I'm a developer. I have been working on various blockchain projects focused on data ownership for the past few years. I truly believe that blockchain not only is crucial for data ownership, it is an essential infrastructure in the age of AI. My original topic is future of decentralized AI and topic. I think I'm going to focus on one thing today. We probably just have enough time to focus on one thing, which is data ownership. I want to cover the data ownership talk in 4 parts. First, understanding the issues we are dealing with. Then, describe the types of data and other blockchain solutions for true data ownership. Lastly, I want to take a glimpse into the future with you. So let's look at data issues. Now imagine for a moment that every piece of data about you, your photos, messages, browsing habits, and even your health data is stored in a vault. But here's the catch. This vault isn't owned by you. It's owned by giants like Meta, Amazon, and Google. They decide who get access. They make billions from your data. And privacy is an afterthought. To change this, let's first look at the types of data that we have. First, you have personal data, the content that you produce. This includes private data, the personal content you store in the cloud, typically, or on your local drive. It includes photos, bank statements, notes, and so on. And then there is a public data you shared or make available publicly. Social media, public profiles, Reddit. And then there's shared data shared with specific person or groups. The data may be owned by you or may be owned by your company. And also, this data includes the first-party data, such as the surveys that you take, that the content come from you. The second type of data is a behavioral data. Your browser history, your Google map, search history, app usage, health tracker data, online interactions. It could be dating apps. It could be any apps. And transactional data, like your purchase records, financial transactions, service usage logs. Also, there is data of data, the metadata that's generated with your data, like the location, the device type from your photo. This is often referred to as your digital footprint. Everyone generates a vast amount of data. And the third type of data is the verifiable credential data. It is more data about you. So what are verifiable credential data? They are issued to you by third parties and verified by third parties. So the third party could be the government, which issues your ID, your passport, your social security, if you are in the US. And your graduation year and your GPA, those are all data generated. Even it's generated by you. It's approved or verified by a third party. Your work history, if you are into Olympics, maybe we have Olympic medals and maybe just marathons that you won. And the fourth type of data is derived data. What I meant by this is data generated by processing the previous data type. So the new data created by transforming, combining, or even benchmarking through machine learning or other ways of processing existing raw data. It does provide new insights to enhance understanding and create a personalized guidance or experience even for decision making. From interpretation of your health data, like how healthy you are, have you done enough exercise in the last week, to your recommendations. It could be Netflix recommendation, it could be a shopping recommendation, any kind of recommendation engine, and even for AI training. Especially if you are a designer, your work probably is already included in all those AI training without you even knowing it. So how do we take control of all these data? And then what we want to look at is not only the ownership portion of it. We want to look at also the financial incentives. The derived data, for example, is somebody else aggregating a lot of different sets of data from everyone in the world to give you insights about your own personal health or your preferences in shopping or in movie watching. It has a heavy financial incentive involved. So let's look at the solutions. The personal data. The biggest problem today with personal data is that it could be visible to third parties accidentally or by hacking activities. The reason, maybe you're already aware, the cloud service that you use today, from Dropbox to Google Drive, and even Amazon S3, they are not end-to-end encrypted. Which means your data is visible on your local device. And then even though it's being transported securely to the server from the hosting party, your data is only encrypted on their server. So there is a risk where your data is being visible throughout in the third-party ecosystem. And if they screw up, which how many of us heard about the Equifax, right? Even the unencrypted password from Facebook, right? It happens beyond our belief. So the risk of data is existing for all cloud storages today. And the other part is that if you want to generate a end-to-end encryption, meaning that you want to encrypt your data locally and only transport the encrypted data so nobody else can have a peek into your data, it requires setting up a public key and private key. I believe many of you probably already very familiar with cryptography because you are in the blockchain industry. So cryptography, in order for you to encrypt this data, you need one piece of information, which is public key. And generating, there are tools like Proton drives. There are like open source projects who are doing end-to-end encryption for your cloud storage. But it requires you to save your private key or your word, like 12 word strings. The problem is that most people would just save that in their Google Docs, in their Notion, as plain text. That is the risk that you are taking for your own data privacy. And then the second thing is that what happens if you didn't save the key, you lost the key? Well, it's not as bad as losing like 100 Bitcoins, but then you lost access to your own data, the own content that you generated. So there is a solution, which just an example. It's not the be-all solution, but if you look at from a technical standpoint, any user who sign up today using either email or phone, as long as they have an email address or phone, you can generate a public key, private key pair using different services. I think more people are familiar with Privy. There are account abstractions, MPC wallets. I use MetaKeep as an example. MetaKeep is a hardware non-custodial wallet that actually generates a private key, private public key pair for you and a crypto wallet address. So once you have the public key of that user from the email address, now you can encrypt the content. You can complete end-to-end encryption, and then you can save the data to even your cloud storage or your decentralized storage. So there are solutions to a lot of problems that we talk about today, from usability to adaptability to security. Throughout the last few years, there's so many projects came up with amazing development, and there are solutions available as of today. So there's also talk about privacy preservation. So basically, I think yesterday I was here, I heard like 3 or 4 projects at least talking about zero knowledge proof. You can generate any answer of using zero knowledge proof, basically just to attest or basically to say whether this is true or false. Do you own a valid driver license? Are you old enough to drink? I think the drinking age in Japan is 20. And once you set up your zero knowledge proof, you can subject any kind of data to a data marketplace where AI can use it for training, but they have to pay you. There are a lot of different architecture combination of use cases that's enabled by using this infrastructure. So the other piece is the one that most people talk about. I think a lot of you probably already use Brave trying to solve this problem. They're trying to democratize your browsing history data, the advertisement that pay to the operators now is paid to you. But why isn't it popular yet? So the behavioral data from your browser history, trackers, shopping history, to your health data, to your other behavioral data, should only be stored on your local storage. And this local storage can use the infrastructure mentioned before to sync to your decentralized storage with end-to-end encryption. And then you can generate selective disclosure using zero knowledge proof and then submit it to a data marketplace. Now, just imagine that I'm a Fitbit user, right? A lot of you may be using Apple Health, and some of you are using Samsung Watch. So instead of submitting your health data and be limited to one data processor, instead of just looking at Fitbit, I can subject my data to Whoop or any health data aggregator to tell me the derived data information and generate all the insights. You will have freedom of choosing which app have access to your data. So the verifiable credential, the third part of the data, is a little bit trickier. I'm not sure I have time to go over everything. But here's the flow for issuers. Issuer is very challenging because it may involve a third-party entity. For example, if you are a graduate from Tokyo University, Harvard University, so Harvard University need to issue a verifiable credential to prove that you are a graduate. But using the previously set up workflow, you can actually generate the recipient email, a public key, and then use a standard schema of verifiable credential to publish a piece of data. And then it can be subject to verify nodes to verify that it is indeed Harvard University, and then publish all your data to a decentralized storage. It will be there forever. And the querying of the data will be much simpler, very similar to what we talked about earlier. So what about the future? First of all, I think we just heard about Ethereum as a threat to the nation, or is it a financial experiment at scale? To developers like myself, blockchain like Ethereum is an infrastructure. Think about efficiency. A lot of people think about blockchain, they think that it's wasting a lot of electricity, but the fact that it takes 100+ engineers to implement, to solve for a double spend problem, which is inherently built into Ethereum. So there are a lot of possibility, even beyond the financial infrastructure, that you can build, such as data ownership. And then with blockchain, it's a programmable money. It's so easy to redistribute the incentives by shifting the structure. The decentralization is unstoppable. Think about the media. How many of you still watch TV to get news? It's all from the social media, self-media, and this is the trend not only in the finance, but it's going to come into the realm of data ownership as well. And lastly, I want to talk really quickly, before time run out, is about AI and the implication for AI and UBI. So imagine what we were told, that AI is going to free us all. We're going to receive universal basic income. We don't have to work anymore. So what's the meaning of life? Think about AI still needs improvement, and the way that it gets improvement is through more data, more feedback loop to the data. And this is, number one, our contribution by producing data. If you are an artist, you're a musician, or even you are a coder, continue to code and produce content. And that will improve AI models. The other thing is that please do not forget, AI is about enhancing our lives. We are not a digital being. We care about all the biological pleasures. I enjoy a good sushi dinner. I enjoy all sorts of traveling, leisure, and that is the base of some of the recommendation engine that I mentioned. So your sole responsibility in the future is to produce data. And the data you contribute will be the meaning of life. And that is the true meaning of data ownership. That's all I have for today. And then I would like to open up the floor for questions.
Any questions? ご質問のある方。日本語でも全然大丈夫です。通訳します。Okay. How do we do it? Okay.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Can you say that a bit louder? What blockers do you see in this being adopted more large scale?
I really think it's a shift of mindset. Just like I had a couple of slides about the challenges. One of them, I think it was talked about by previous speaker, is permissionless versus compliance. Right? If you want adoption, you need to be more connected to the real world. The change is not going to be from 0 to 1. There is going to be a process. The ability to adapt into that process is eventually going to be the accelerator of how people are going to adopt into this new infrastructure, new paradigm.
Any other questions? right, let's give a big hand to Calvin. Thank you, Calvin. Next up, we'll be having a public goods panel discussion. We need to bring in the chairs. That will take a little bit of time.